24 hours before his execution, the man I put on death row sent me a tape. On it, he confessed to a crime I never investigated, a murder I did not know existed. And then he told me something that made my blood run cold. He said I killed the wrong person, and he could prove it. My name is Detective Marcus Stone. I have sent 14 people to prison for murder. 13 of them were guilty. This is the story of number 14. The case that keeps me awake at night. The case that taught me the terrifying truth that sometimes the evidence lies, and sometimes justice is just another word for revenge. They call it the Davidson case. I call it the confession that destroyed everything I thought I knew about truth. It started 12 years ago. I was younger then, more certain, more convinced that the world was black and white, and my job was to separate the darkness from the light. I got a call about a body found in an industrial park on the east side of the city. Male victim, mid-30s, single gunshot wound to the head, execution style. No wallet, no identification, just a corpse dumped behind a warehouse like garbage. The forensics team pulled fingerprints and we got a match within hours. Michael Davidson, 34 years old, worked as an accountant for a mid-size firm downtown. No criminal record, no known enemies, married with a 6-year-old daughter. His wife Rachel had reported him missing 3 days earlier. She said he left for work Tuesday morning and never came home. No phone calls, no messages, just gone. I went to notify Rachel Davidson of her husband's death. She answered the door in sweatpants and an old college shirt. Her eyes were red from crying. She looked like she had not slept in days. When I told her we found Michael's body, she collapsed, just fell to her knees right there in the doorway. I helped her inside, got her some water, asked her the standard questions. Did Michael have any enemies? Any recent arguments or conflicts? Any financial troubles? She said no to everything. She said Michael was a good man, a good husband, a good father. He coached their daughter's soccer team. He volunteered at the local food bank. He was the kind of person who helped strangers change flat tires. She could not understand why anyone would want to hurt him. But then she said something that changed everything. She said 3 weeks ago Michael had come home upset. He would not tell her what was wrong, but she knew it had to do with work. He had been distracted, anxious. He was working late every night, taking calls in the other room. And 2 days before he disappeared, he told her that if anything happened to him, she should go to the police and tell them to look at the Westbridge account. I asked her what the Westbridge account was. She said she did not know. Michael handled accounts for dozens of clients. She did not know their names or what they did. I went to Michael's office, talked to his boss, a man named Gerald Hoffman, mid-50s, expensive suit, too much cologne. He was shocked about Michael's death, said Michael was one of his best employees, reliable, thorough, never caused problems. I asked about the Westbridge account. Hoffman's face changed, got tight, guarded. He said Westbridge Industries was a real estate development company, one of their biggest clients. Michael had been handling their books for 2 years. I asked if I could see the files. Hoffman said he would need to check with legal, said there were confidentiality agreements, client privilege. I got a warrant. Came back with 2 officers and a box of file folders. Took everything related to Westbridge Industries back to the station. Spent 3 days going through spreadsheets and invoices and bank statements. And I found it. Hidden in layers of shell companies and offshore accounts. Westbridge Industries was laundering money. Millions of dollars moving through real estate transactions that did not exist. Properties bought and sold on paper, but never actually changing hands. And Michael Davidson had discovered it. There were notes in his handwriting, questions about discrepancies, emails to Hoffman asking for clarification. And then the emails stopped. A week before Michael disappeared. I pulled records on Westbridge Industries. The company was owned by a man named Thomas Garrett, 42 years old. No criminal record, but known associates with organized crime families. Real estate was his legitimate front. Money laundering was his real business. I brought Garrett in for questioning. He came with 3 lawyers, sat across from me in the interrogation room, wearing a suit that cost more than my monthly salary. Calm, collected, smiling like this was all some amusing misunderstanding. I asked him about Michael Davidson. He said he had never met Michael personally, said all communication went through the accounting firm. I asked him about the discrepancies in his accounts. He said any irregularities were the result of clerical errors, nothing criminal. I asked him where he was the night Michael disappeared. He said he was at a charity gala with 200 witnesses, and his lawyers provided receipts, photographs, testimony from a dozen people who saw him there all night, airtight alibi. But I knew he was involved. I could see it in his eyes, that cold calculation, that certainty that he was untouchable. So I kept digging. I pulled phone records, financial transactions, security footage from the area where Michael's body was found. And I found a connection. A man named Daniel Cole, 31 years old, prior convictions for assault and armed robbery. He worked as a driver for one of Garrett's shell companies, and cell tower data put his phone in the area where Michael was killed the same night Michael disappeared. I got a warrant for Cole's apartment. We found a 9mm handgun hidden in his bedroom closet. Ballistics matched the bullet that killed Michael Davidson. We arrested Cole, brought him in, and after 6 hours of interrogation, he confessed. He said Thomas Garrett paid him $50,000 to kill Michael Davidson. Said Garrett told him Michael had discovered the money laundering operation and was planning to go to the police. Said Garrett gave him Michael's schedule and told him to make it look like a robbery gone wrong. Cole gave us details only the killer would know. The location where he picked up Michael, the abandoned building where he shot him, the industrial park where he dumped the body. Everything matched. We had the murder weapon, we had the confession, we had the motive. The district attorney charged Cole with first-degree murder, charged Garrett with conspiracy to commit murder and money laundering. The trial lasted 3 weeks. The evidence was overwhelming. Cole's confession, the ballistics match, the financial record showing the payment from Garrett to Cole. The jury deliberated for 4 hours, found both men guilty. Cole got life without parole. Garrett got death row. I testified at both trials, told the jury about the investigation, about the evidence, about how these men had killed an innocent man who was just trying to do the right thing. Rachel Davidson sat in the front row every day of the trial. When the verdicts came in, she thanked me, said I had given her family justice, said her daughter could grow up knowing that the men who killed her father were punished. I felt like I had done my job, like I had brought a killer to justice, like the system worked. That was 12 years ago. Last week I received a package at my home address, no return address. Inside was a cassette tape and a note written in shaky handwriting. The note said, "Detective Stone, my name is Daniel Cole. Tomorrow I will be executed for the murder of Michael Davidson. Before I die, I need you to know the truth. Listen to this tape, all of it, and then you will understand what we did to Thomas Garrett and what you did to me." I put the tape in an old cassette player I kept in my garage, pressed play, and Daniel Cole's voice filled the room. He said everything he told me during that interrogation 12 years ago was a lie. He said he did not kill Michael Davidson. He said Thomas Garrett did not pay him $50,000. He said the gun we found in his apartment was planted there. He said he confessed because he was told that if he did not confess, his sister and her 2 children would be killed. He said the man who threatened him was a detective. And then he said my name. He said Detective Marcus Stone came to him 3 days before his arrest, showed him photographs of his sister, knew where she lived, knew where her kids went to school, told him that if he did not confess to killing Michael Davidson and implicating Thomas Garrett, his family would disappear. Cole said he did not believe me at first, but then he went home and found a dead rat nailed to his sister's front door. A message, a warning. So he agreed. He confessed to a murder he did not commit. He memorized the details I gave him. He let us plant the gun in his apartment. He testified against Thomas Garrett even though Garrett had nothing to do with Michael Davidson's death. And in return, I promised him that his sister and her children would be safe. Cole said he spent 12 years in prison waiting for me to come back and tell him the truth, waiting for me to admit what I had done. But I never came. And now he was going to die for a crime he did not commit. The tape kept playing. Cole said he spent years in prison trying to figure out why I did it, why I would frame him, why I would send an innocent man to death row. And then he figured it out. He did some research, called in favors, got information from other inmates, and he discovered something. Thomas Garrett did kill Michael Davidson, but he did not do it because Michael discovered money laundering. He did it because Michael was having an affair with Garrett's wife. Michael and Catherine Garrett had been seeing each other for 6 months, meeting in hotels, sneaking around. Garrett found out, confronted Michael, shot him in a rage. It was not a calculated hit. It was a crime of passion. And if the case had been investigated properly, Garrett would have been charged with second-degree murder, maybe gotten 20 years. But that was not enough for me. Because Catherine Garrett was not just Thomas Garrett's wife, she was my sister. My older sister Catherine had married Thomas Garrett 8 years before Michael's murder. I did not approve. I thought Garrett was a criminal. I told her she was making a mistake. We stopped speaking. For 8 years I did not talk to my sister, and then Michael Davidson was murdered, and I was assigned the case. And I discovered that my sister's husband was the primary suspect. I could have recused myself. I could have told my captain about the conflict of interest. But I did not. Because when I started investigating, I found out about the affair. I found emails between Michael and Catherine, hotel receipts, photographs. My sister had been cheating on her husband with the victim. And I realized that if the affair came out during the trial, Catherine would be dragged through it. Her name in the papers, her private life exposed, her reputation destroyed. So I made a decision. I would build a different case. I would turn a crime of passion into a conspiracy. I would make it about money laundering instead of infidelity. I would find a fall guy who could take the blame and give testimony that would put Garrett away forever. Daniel Cole was perfect. Criminal history. Connection to Garrett through the shell company. No family except a sister who I could use as leverage. I planted evidence. I coerced a confession. I built a case that was airtight, and I sent 2 men to prison, 1 guilty, 1 innocent. And I protected my sister. Cole's voice on the tape was steady now, calm. He said he did not blame me for wanting to protect my family. He said he understood that kind of love, that kind of loyalty, but he wanted me to know what it cost. He said his sister never knew why he confessed. She believed he was a murderer. She stopped bringing his niece and nephew to visit him in prison because she did not want them around a killer. He lost his family to save them. He said Thomas Garrett was executed 4 years ago, still claiming he was innocent, still saying he killed Michael Davidson in a moment of rage, but not as part of any conspiracy. No one believed him. He said tomorrow Daniel Cole would be executed too, and the world would believe justice was served. But I would know the truth. I would know that I sent an innocent man to death. The tape ended. I sat in my garage staring at the cassette player for an hour. Then I got in my car and drove to the state penitentiary. It was 3 a.m. I used my credentials to get inside, told the guards I needed to speak with Daniel Cole. They brought me to a private room, and Cole walked in wearing prison scrubs and ankle chains. He looked older than his 43 years, gray hair, tired eyes. He sat down across from me and smiled, a sad, broken smile. He said, "I wondered if you would come." I asked him why he sent me the tape, why he told me the truth now after 12 years. He said, "Because tomorrow I die, and I wanted you to live with it. I wanted you to know what you did. I wanted you to carry it for the rest of your life." I asked him if he wanted me to confess, if he wanted me to go public and clear his name. He laughed, said, "What good would that do? Even if I confessed, who would believe me?" The case was closed. The evidence was on record. I would be arrested. My career would be over. My family would be destroyed. And he would still be executed. Because the system does not reverse itself once it decides someone is guilty. He said the only difference would be that we would both be in prison. And that was not justice. That was just more suffering. I asked him what he wanted from me. He looked me in the eyes and said, "I want you to remember my name. I want you to think about me every time you close a case, every time you testify in court, every time you tell yourself you are serving justice. I want you to know that justice is a lie we tell ourselves to sleep at night. And sometimes the detective is the criminal." I left the prison at 4:30 a.m. drove home as the sun came up. Daniel Cole was executed by lethal injection at 6 p.m. that evening. I did not attend. I could not. His last words, according to the warden, were, "Tell Detective Stone I forgive him, but I do not forgive myself." I carry Daniel Cole with me every day. His name, his face, the knowledge that I destroyed an innocent man to protect my sister. And the worst part is that it did not even work. Catherine found out about the affair anyway. It came out during the divorce proceedings 3 years later. Her life was destroyed, just like I tried to prevent, and she has not spoken to me since. She knows what I did. She knows I framed Daniel Cole, and she hates me for it. Not because I did it to protect her, but because I made her complicit in the death of an innocent man. I am Detective Marcus Stone, and I learned that the evidence can tell whatever story you want it to tell, that confessions can be coerced, that justice is not about truth. It is about who has the power to decide what truth is. I have spent 12 years trying to make up for what I did to Daniel Cole. I work every case like it is my last chance at redemption. I question every confession. I verify every piece of evidence. I do not trust myself anymore, because I know what I am capable of. I know that under the right circumstances, I am not the hero of the story. I am the villain. And sometimes late at night, I pull out that cassette tape and I listen to Daniel Cole's voice. And I remember that the badge does not make you righteous. It just gives you the power to destroy lives, and the question is not whether you will use that power. The question is whether you will use it for justice or for something else. Something darker, something you tell yourself is necessary, until one day you realize you have become the thing you swore to fight. Until next time, stay vigilant, because the most dangerous criminal is not always the one behind bars. Sometimes it is the one wearing the badge. Sometimes it is the one you trust to protect you. Sometimes it is me. Said.